Nintendo Switch 2 initial 3-minute trailer gave us a glimpse of what would become one of the most successful hybrid gaming consoles. It was a bold move, merging handheld and home console gaming into one seamless experience. While the trailer showcased the hardware and its portability, it left out several key details. One of the most interesting yet unexplained features at the time was HD Rumble. Although Nintendo subtly demonstrated HD Rumble in the trailer, they didn't go into much detail about how it worked or why it mattered. But once the Switch 2 launched, HD Rumble became a significant part of its early marketing. The feature provided a more immersive tactile experience, allowing players to feel subtle vibrations that mimicked real-world sensations, like shaking a glass with ice cubes inside. Developers took advantage of this unique hardware capability, integrating it into their games in creative ways. Over time, HD Rumble became an expected feature rather than a major talking point, but it still stands out as a significant innovation compared to older Rumble technology. Now, it seems like Nintendo might be preparing to do something similar with the rumored Switch 2. A new feature, one that could be just as impactful as HD Rumble was for the original Switch, may be in the works. And if Nintendo plays its cards right, this feature could be even more game-changing than anything we saw in the first Switch generation. Rumors about the Switch 2 have been circulating for a while now, and one of the biggest talking points is the potential hardware improvements. A recent leak from a user named Secret Boy on fanboards has caught the attention of the gaming community. This source previously provided accurate details about the Switch 2's chipset, revealing that the system is expected to deliver 3.1 teraflops of power when docked and 1.72 teraflops in handheld mode. While this performance puts it in the range of a handheld PlayStation 4, the actual experience will depend on optimizations and NVIDIA's newer technology. Beyond raw power, another major detail from the leaks focuses on the Switch 2's display. Unlike the current Switch, which features a standard 60Hz screen, the new system could introduce a major leap in visual smoothness. The rumor suggests that Nintendo may be equipping the Switch 2 with a 120Hz LCD display, along with HDR, high dynamic range, and VRR, variable refresh rate, support. If true, this would mark a significant upgrade, allowing for much smoother gameplay, better responsiveness, and an overall enhanced handheld experience. One of the most surprising aspects of the leak is the claim that the screen will be LCD instead of OLED. Given how well the OLED model of the original Switch was received, many expected Nintendo to continue with that technology. However, the decision to use LCD could come down to cost considerations. An OLED display at launch would likely drive up the price, making the Switch 2 more expensive than Nintendo might want. It's also possible that Nintendo is planning to release an OLED model later, similar to what they did with the original Switch. By keeping the initial version LCD-based, they could introduce a premium OLED version a few years down the line. Even though LCD might not be as vibrant as OLED, modern LCD technology has improved significantly. If Nintendo delivers a high-quality IPS panel, it could still provide excellent color accuracy and brightness. Plus, with the addition of VRR and 120Hz refresh rate, the Switch 2's display could offer a major step forward in smoothness and responsiveness, especially for fast-paced games. The idea of Nintendo implementing a 120Hz VRR-supported screen raises some interesting possibilities. Developers would be able to optimize their games around this feature, creating smoother experiences even if the hardware can't always push a steady 60 FPS. With VRR, frame rate drops would be less noticeable, and games could target alternative refresh rates like 40 FPS, which divides evenly into 120 Hz. This means players could enjoy a fluid gaming experience even if the hardware doesn't always reach the highest frame rates. While HDR support is also mentioned in the leaks, there are some questions about how well it would work on an LCD screen. True HDR requires a high peak brightness, often around 1000 nits, to make a noticeable difference, and most handheld devices struggle to achieve that without sacrificing battery life. If the Switch 2 does include HDR, it will be interesting to see how Nintendo balances power consumption with visual fidelity. All of these rumored upgrades point to a significant step forward for Nintendo's handheld gaming experience. However, they also raise questions about pricing. If the Switch 2 does include a 120Hz VRR-supported LCD display, it's likely to push the price above the $400 mark. Some speculate it could even reach $450 to $500, depending on the rest of the hardware. For many, the increased cost could be justified if it means a smoother and more responsive gaming experience. That brings us to another important question. How will Nintendo market these new features? If the original Switch leaned into HD Rumble as a unique selling point, could the Switch 2 do the same with its screen technology? Nintendo has a history of branding its hardware innovations with catchy names, so it wouldn't be surprising if they introduced something like True Motion or Smooth Play to highlight the benefits of 120Hz and VRR. If marketed effectively, this feature could be a game-changer for handheld gaming, much like HD Rumble was for the original Switch. With Nintendo rumored to make an official announcement on April 2nd, anticipation for the Switch 2 is reaching new heights. While these are still leaks and rumors, the idea of a high refresh rate display with VRR support is an exciting prospect. If Nintendo truly embraces this technology, it could redefine what we expect from handheld gaming. For now, we can only wait and see what surprises they have in store.